Prepare for warp speed as we embark on a voyage through the vast expanse of science fiction in movies and television series. From distant planets to alien civilizations, we delve into the heart of the unknown, unraveling the tales that have captivated audiences for generations. Get ready to unlock the secrets of the universe on Code Flix.
Hello and welcome to Code Flix, the podcast where we take a deep dive into your favorite sci-fi and fantasy TV shows and movies. I'm Andre Bonner, and in today's episode, we'll be exploring dreamscapes and layers of reality in the movie Inception. This movie is a post-Matrix movie, and as we know, post-Matrix movies are movies that, since the Matrix has been released, have captivated some of the elements, the great themes, using techniques that really get you hooked, especially with the music and the way how the world building has been laid out. We see the dreamscapes, the way how reality is questioned. I came upon it while searching for similar movies of this type. I found it to be meeting my expectations and surpassing them. This movie, guys, is really one of those that pulls you in and you think about how your dreams could be used against you. Inception is a 2010 science fiction action film written and directed by Christopher Nolan, who also produced it with Emma Thomas, his wife. The film stars Leonardo DiCaprio as a professional thief who steals information by infiltrating the subconscious of his targets. He is offered a chance to have his criminal history erased as payment for the implantation of another person's idea into a target's subconscious. The ensemble cast include Ken Watanabe, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Mario Cotillard, Elliot Page, Tom Hardy, Cillian Murphy, Tom Berenger, Dilip Rowe, and Michael Caine. After the 2002 completion of Insomnia, Nolan presented to Warner Brothers a written 80-page treatment for a horror film envisioning dream stealers based on lucid dreaming. Deciding he needed more experience before tackling a production of this magnitude and complexity, Nolan shelved the project and instead worked on the 2005 Batman Begins, 2006 The Prestige, and the 2008 The Dark Knight. The treatment was revised over 6 months and was purchased by Warner in February 2009. Inception was filmed in 6 countries, beginning in Tokyo on June 19th and ending in Canada on November 22nd. The official budget was $160 million, split between Warner Brothers and Legendary. Nolan's reputation and success with The Dark Knight helped secure the film's US $100 million in advertising expenditure. Inception's premiere was held in London on July 8, 2010, and it was released in both conventional and IMAX theaters beginning on July 16, 2010. Inception grossed over $837 million worldwide, becoming the 4th highest grossing film of 2010. Considered one of the best films of the 2010s, Inception won 4 Oscars: Best Cinematography, Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, Best Visual Effects, and was nominated for 4 more: Best Picture, Best Original Screenplay, Best Art Direction, Best Original Score at the 83rd Academy Awards. Here's a summary of the plot of Inception. Cobb and Arthur are extractors who perform corporate espionage using experimental dream-sharing technology to infiltrate their target's subconscious and extract information. Their latest target, Saito, is impressed with Cobb's ability to layer multiple dreams within each other. He offers to hire Cobb for the ostensibly impossible job of implanting an idea into a person's subconscious, performing Inception on Robert Fisher, the son of Saito's competitor, Maurice Fisher, with the idea to dissolve his father's company. In return, Saito promises to clear Cobb's criminal status, allowing him to return home to his children. Cobb accepts the offer and assembles his team: a forger named Eames, a chemist named Youssef, and a college student named Ariande. Ariande is tasked with designing the dream's architecture, something Cobb himself cannot do for fear of being sabotaged by his mind projection of his late wife, Mal. Maurice Fisher dies, and the team sedates Robert Fisher into a 3-layer shared dream on an airplane to America bought by Saito. Time on each layer runs slower than the layer above, with one member staying behind on each to perform a music-synchronized kick using the French song Non je ne regrette rien to awaken dreamers on all 3 levels simultaneously. The team abducts Robert in a city on the 1st level, but his trained subconscious projections attack them. After Saito is wounded, Cobb reveals that while dying in a dream would usually awaken dreamers, Youssef's sedatives will instead send them into limbo, a world of infinite subconscious. Eames impersonates Robert's godfather, Peter Browning, to introduce the idea of an alternate will to dissolve the company. Cobb tells Ariande that he and Mal entered limbo while experimenting with dream sharing, experiencing 50 years in one night due to the time dilation reality. After waking up, Mal still believes she was dreaming, attempting to wake up. She committed suicide and framed Cobb for her murder to force him to do the same. Cobb fled the US, leaving his children behind. Youssef drives the team around the 1st level as they are seated in the 2nd level, a hotel dreamed by Arthur. Cobb persuades Robert that Browning has kidnapped him to stop the dissolution and that Cobb is a defensive projection, leading Robert to another 3rd level, deeper, as part of a ruse to enter Robert's subconscious. In the 3rd level, the team infiltrates an alpine fortress with a projection of Maurice inside, where the Inception itself can be performed. However, Youssef performs his kick too soon by driving off a bridge, forcing Arthur and Eames to improvise a new set of kicks synchronized with them hitting the water by rigging an elevator and the fortress, respectively, with explosive. Mal then appears and kills Robert before he can be subjected to the Inception, and he and Saito are lost in limbo, forcing Cobb and Ariande to rescue them in time. For Robert's Inception and Eames' kick, Cobb reveals that during their time in limbo, Mal refused to return to reality. Cobb had to convince her it was only a dream, accidentally incepting in her the belief that the real world was still a dream. Cobb makes peace with his part in Maul's death. Ariande kills Maul's projection and wakes Robert up with a kick. Revived into the third level, he discovers the planted idea, his dying father telling him to create something for himself. While Cobb searches for Saito in Limbo, the others ride the synchronized kicks back to reality. Cobb finds and aids Saito and reminds him of their agreement. The dreamers all awaken on the plane, and Saito makes a phone call. Arriving in Los Angeles, Cobb passes the immigration checkpoint, and his father-in-law accompanies him to his home. Cobb uses Maul's totem, a top that spins indefinitely in a dream, to test if he is indeed in the real world. But he chooses not to observe the result and instead joins his children. Here are some key themes and symbols in Inception. Themes: reality versus illusion. The film continuously blurs the line between reality and dreams, questioning the nature of reality itself. Characters struggle to distinguish between their waking lives and their dream worlds, leading to a central theme of what is real and what is an illusion. Guilt and redemption. Cobb's journey is heavily influenced by his feelings of guilt over the death of his wife, Maul, and her desire for redemption. His inner turmoil and the impact of his guilt on his perception of reality are key driving forces in the narrative. The power of ideas. The concept of Inception revolves around the power of ideas to shape and influence behavior. The film explores how deeply rooted ideas can grow and affect a person's actions, beliefs, and decisions, highlighting the profound impact of the subconscious mind. Time and memory. The film plays with the perception of time, particularly how it stretches within dreams compared to reality. It also delves into memory and how past experiences, especially traumatic ones, influence the present and future actions of the characters. Trust and betrayal. Trust is a significant theme as the team must rely on each other to navigate the complexities of the dream world. The potential for betrayal and the consequences of misplaced trust add tension and depth to the characters' relationships. Control and free will. The character's ability to manipulate dreams raise questions about control and free will. The ethical implications of entering someone's mind and altering their thoughts challenge the boundaries of autonomy and consent. Symbols. The totem. The totem, especially Cobb's spinning top, is a crucial symbol representing the boundary between reality and dreams. Each character's totem is a personal object used to determine if they are in a dream or the real world. Cobb's spinning top, in particular, becomes a focal point for the ambiguity of the film's ending. The spinning top. Cobb's spinning top is his personal totem that helps him distinguish reality from dreams. If the top spins indefinitely, he knows he is in a dream. If it topples, he is in reality. The final shot of the film, where the top's fate is left uncertain, symbolizes the persistent ambiguity between reality and illusion. The kick. The kick is a symbol for the jolt that awakens someone from a dream. It represents the necessity of a sudden shock or disruption to break free from the layers of the subconscious and return to consciousness. The maze. The labyrinthine nature of dreams is symbolized by a maze, which appears both literally in Ariande's designs and metaphorically in the complex layered structure of the dream worlds. The maze symbolizes the complexity and intricacy of the human mind. Water. Water appears frequently in the film, symbolizing the boundary between different states of consciousness, drowning, immersion, and the sensation of falling into water are recurring motifs that signals transition between dream levels. Elevators. The elevator in Cobb's mind represents his repressed memories and guilt. Each floor holds a significant memory, particularly those involving Mal. The elevator symbolizes the layers of Cobb's subconscious and the weight of his unresolved issues. Mal. Mal as a projection of Cobb's subconscious symbolizes his guilt and unresolved grief. Her constant interference in the dream missions represents the destructive power of unresolved emotions and the influence of the past on the present. Inception is a complex and intellectually stimulating film that explores deep themes of reality, guilt, and the power of ideas, and the nature of consciousness. Through its intricate plot and the rich symbolism, including the totem, the spinning top, and the maze, the film challenges viewers to question the nature of their own reality and the power of their subconscious minds. The ambiguous ending leaves audiences contemplating the boundary between dreams and reality long after the film concludes. Here's a character analysis of the main characters from Inception. Dom Cobb, Leonardo DiCaprio. Cobb is a skilled thief specializing in corporate espionage through dream infiltration. Haunted by the death of his wife, Mal, and his guilt over her demise, Cobb's character is defined by his inner turmoil and desire to return to his children. His complexity stems from his struggle between professional expertise and personal redemption. Author Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Author is Cobb's partner and the point man in their operations. He is meticulous, logical, and responsible for gathering intelligence and ensuring the team's safety within the dream worlds. His steady and cautious nature contrasts with Cobb's often reckless approach. Ariande Elliot Page. Ariande is an architect student recruited to design the dream mazes. She serves as the audience's surrogate, learning about the dream sharing technology and uncovering Cobb's psychological struggles. Her role is pivotal in helping Cobb confront and overcome his guilt about Mal. Eames, Tom Hardy. Eames is the forger known for his ability to impersonate others within dreams. He is resourceful, creative, and provides a counterbalance to Arthur's methodical nature. His improvisational skills and strategic thinking are crucial to the team's success. Mal Cobb, Marianne Cotillard. Mal, Cobb's deceased wife, appears as a projection of Cobb's subconscious. She represents his unresolved guilt and is the primary antagonist within his psyche. Her presence disrupts the team's missions and symbolizes the dangers of lingering in past regrets. Robert Fisher, Cillian Murphy. Fisher is the target of the Inception mission. He is a wealthy heir with a strained relationship with his father. His character arc revolves around his reconciliation with his father's legacy and the realization of his own identity, which the team manipulates to plant the idea. Saito, Ken Watanabe. Saito is the businessman who hires Cobb's team for the Inception mission. He is motivated by the desire to dismantle a rival corporation and plays a crucial role in the film's climax, where his actions in both the dream world and reality impact the team's fate. These characters each contribute to the narrative's exploration of reality, subconscious, and the power of the mind, driving the film's intricate plot and emotional depth. Here's a detailed look at the production and design elements of the film. Production, director and writer. Directed and written by Christopher Nolan, who also served as a producer along with Emma Thomas. Cast, Leonardo DiCaprio as Dom Cobb, a skilled thief who infiltrates the subconscious of his targets. Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Arthur, Cobb's partner. Elliot Page as Ariande, a young architect recruited to design dream spaces. Tom Hardy as Eames, a forger who can manipulate his appearance within dreams. Ken Watanabe as Saito, a powerful businessman who hires Cobb for the Inception. Cillian Murphy as Robert Fisher, the target of the Inception. Marianne Cotillard as Mal, Cobb's deceased wife, who haunts his dreams. Michael Caine as Professor Stephen Miles, Cobb's mentor and father-in-law. Filming locations. Filming took place in 6 countries: the United States, the United Kingdom, Japan, France, Canada, and Morocco. Notable locations include the streets of Paris, the mountains of Alberta for the snowy fortress scenes, and a rotating hallway set bound in Los Angeles for the zero-gravity fight sequence. Design, visual effects and cinematography. Visual effects were supervised by Paul Franklin and executed by Double Negative. Practical effects were heavily used alongside CGI to create realistic dream environments. Cinematography by Wally Fisher utilized IMAX cameras for select scenes, emphasizing a grand and immersive visual style. The film's use of slow motion and intricate camera movements added to the dreamlike quality. Set design. Production designer Guy Hendricks Dias created elaborate sets that included a rotating hallway, a multi-level dream hotel, and a crumbling cityscape. The dream environments were designed to be visually distinct yet interconnected, with attention to the architectural and spatial logic of dreams. Costume design. Costume design by Jeffrey Kurland featured tailored suits and practical attire, reflecting the professional and high-stake nature of the character's work. Each character's wardrobe subtly highlighted their role within the team, from Cobb's rugged practicality to Arthur's meticulous professionalism. Sound design and music. The musical score by Hans Zimmer is iconic, featuring a blend of orchestral and electronic elements. The use of the Brahms sound became particularly influential. Sound design played a crucial role in differentiating the layers of dreams with distinct audio cues and effects for each dream level. Inception was praised for its originality, complexity, and visual spectacle. Critics highlighted Nolan's direction, the performances, particularly DiCaprio's, and the film's ambitious narrative structure. Box office success. The film was a commercial hit, grossing over $836 million worldwide, making it one of the highest grossing films of 2010. Inception won 4 Academy Awards: Best Cinematography, Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Visual Effects. It received additional nominations including Best Picture and Best Original Screenplay. Cultural impact. The film's concept of dream manipulation and its visual style have had a lasting influence on both popular culture and science fiction genre. Its narrative techniques and iconic imagery have been referenced and parodied in various media. Inception has had a significant impact on the science fiction and heist films, demonstrating the potential for combining high concept storytelling and mainstream appeal. Its success has encouraged filmmakers to explore complex narratives and innovative visual effects, pushing the boundaries of what is possible in cinema. The film remains a touchstone for discussions about narrative complexity and the representation of dreams on screen. So here is a detailed analysis and interpretation of Inception. In the opening scene, the beach scene, Cobb washes up on a beach and is taken to an elderly man, Saito. This is a glimpse of the film's climax. And we can see within that scene the levels of what has happened. There is a subtle change or difference in what we see as the opening and the closing, but the essentials are there. We see that Cobb and Saito are old men, and they appear to be, having a discussion around a table, possibly after he had had something to eat. And just as how with many of these sequences with the dreams, they work so well. They remind us of how dream works, because in a dream, you never know when it starts. You never start at a particular point and, oh, I'm dreaming at this point. No, you start, or you remember the middle of the dream. Most times you wake up, you don't even remember the entire dream in its entirety, but you remember, oh, the first thing I remember while I was dreaming was that. It's like you start in the middle of the story. So you don't really remember where you would have went to sleep and that this is where it started or whatever. All right. So I think that's a good framing device that they use in the film, the failed extraction. So as we can see now, the film jumps to a dream within a dream. So it's, as I said before, you're in the middle of the dream and they continuously go even deeper into a deeper dream state, right? And this is where Cobb and his team, including Arthur, are trying to extract information from Saito. So they are trying to see if they can figure out a way how to deceive Saito. However, the mission fails because Saito gets little glimpses, or he puts together certain clues about where he is and things that he knows. So And this is probably where you kind of introduce the idea of a totem, something that you are familiar with in the real world, and only you alone know what that totem is like. So for Saito, you could say that his totem is the rug that he was lying on. And so he felt the rug, and the rug did feel kind of weird. It doesn't feel like his rug that he knows, and apparently the person who built the dream didn't know that, and so they didn't build it properly, right? They didn't have that detail, or they left out that detail because they didn't think it was important. So that's why the mission failed, and they realized that Saito was testing them all along. All right, so back in apparent reality, Cobb and Arthur wake up in the real world. Saito offers Cobb a job to perform the Inception, planting an idea in someone's mind. So initially, of course, Cobb would push back and be like, is this even something that we think is possible? Could we actually do something like this and thing? And, both Cobb and Arthur, think that what Saito is at this time proposing to them is crazy because, we don't know how this is, how to do certain things. So how we're going to do something like this is something big. This is something that we've never tried doing. It's hard to plant or even to push people to persuade someone if you don't understand certain things about them. So how are you going to be able to, use certain information about them to, input that idea, that thought, so that they can make up their own mind about it and believe that it is their idea? And makes you think about not just a dream, but how people are persuaded on a daily basis, how, telemarketers and people who do scams get into people's mind, get into people's heads to get them to be convinced about an idea and believing that, hey, this is a good idea, this is a good investment, and basically spending money on something that won't really profit them or, make any changes to their life. It even happens with the marketing of certain products, because down to the very things that we buy, sometimes we end up going to the store, and because the item is placed at a particular place, or because of the smell of the item, all of those little things, it cues our brain, the colors, it cues our brain into thinking about, buying these things, or getting the things, sometimes things that we don't really need, right? So, yeah, that's something to think about there. Cobb recruits Eames, a forger, Yusef, a chemist, and Ariande, an architect who designs dreams. All right. So this whole arc, I mean, this is where the whole idea of the heist kind of movie thing comes in, because you see them going to try and get these new persons because they want to form a team, and because of what it would take to actually pull off something like this, because it's a heist of ideas. You're trying to, insert yourself into someone's mind and so on and whatever, right? But before that, I should mention that Saito would have promised Cobb that he would be able to get him off the hook for his wife's apparent murder. His wife would have committed suicide and framed him in that, right? We don't know that at this point, but this is something that is affecting him. And so that is the deal basically for Cobb, that I want to be able to go back home to my kids. So he has his work cut out for him, because this is what he wants to achieve. He wants to be able to reunite with his kids, and this is the way he's going to have to get that goal. So there's a bit of training and preparation, because Ariande is not, she's new. Cobb introduces Ariande to the dream manipulation, right? Teaches her every little piece of the puzzle in order to understand how to get things done. While doing that, of course, she realizes and discovers that Cobb is not altogether good upstairs, because while inside at the dream world with Cobb, she meets Mal, the projection of Mal, that is, and realizes that Mal is basically taking up Cobb's consciousness, right? And it's not like, say, he can control his subconscious. So basically, he can only control up to a certain level of his dream, but it can't stop Mal from coming up in his dreams, because he has her on his mind, literally, right? Yeah, and that poses a great danger for not just for Cobb, but for the team, because the team will have to be a part of his dream at some point. So the team plans on how they would be able to implant an idea in Robert Fisher's mind. The goal is to basically get him to dissolve his father's company, and basically to use his uncle Peter to be a part of that, in terms of because Robert Fisher would not necessarily have had a good relationship with his father. So the best person now would be his uncle, he has a little bit more of a communication, and clear understanding, to get him to that place of, doing something, right? So after they're planned and made all of the different rehearsals, basically, and practice and preparation, the heist time now to get the heist done. And of course, Saito, him, the ramp, he has a lot of money, so he's able to buy entire airline, because one of the problems that they faced was trying to find a way to have Robert on a flight for 10 hours, have access to him for 10 hours to be able to get the job done, because it's not going to be easy to just go in and plant an idea. They need to be able to manage, certain things. So, and they would need to have access to him in that way. If it was his private plane or something like that, it would mean that he would be a little bit less accessible. So Saito buy the airline, and they basically lay the trap for him to be able to get them on that plane by, have the staff, because he buy the airline, so him have the staff basically doing what they need them to do. So they get him on the flight, they set up the place, and them drug him, right, to put him and themselves under, so that they can start the heist. So in the first dream level, right, they find themselves in a city, right, and it's raining. Why is it raining? Because somebody forgot to go to the bathroom. Looking at you, Yusuf. Yusuf forgot to go to the bathroom. So I guess they're trying to say that if you felt like you wanted to pee and you fell asleep, you might dream about raining. You might dream about rain, basically, or water, I guess. Yeah. I don't know if that means that he peed himself because 10 hours, your bladder can only hold so much and no more, right? Probably peed himself. Yeah. So the team sedates Fisher on the flight and they find themselves in the rainy city, right? And Saito is unfortunately injured within like a few minutes of them being in a dream because they realize or they come to the realization that a man like Robert Fisher, he had professionals help him to steal up in mind, basically, right? So him get training, and this is something that Cobb was like, oh, after thinking about this, this makes sense now. Him get some professionals to train him in mind against these kind of infiltration, basically. It's almost like a mental training. The trainer say, when you dream, your projections come to your defense and they're militarized because they're strong. So that's a representation, I guess, of what they are. And that's the way the confrontation happens, and them have him, Saito gets shot in the dream and is on the verge of being dead, right? Yeah. And if he dies, of course, we know he's going to limbo, right? So, yeah, at this point, everything does look wrong, like things going very, very wrong. And they have to call upon contingencies, right? Or try to salvage the dream in the best way they can. So they try to get the information out of Robert, not fully, so they know they have to definitely go to the second dream level, which is the hotel. At this point, Arthur is the one that's in charge of the dream. So Arthur now is, basically set up a dream where they're basically going to tell a dreamer that he is dreaming. And in most cases, they say that is not the best thing because, this will turn the dreamer and his projections against everybody else, right? But the only way around this, and then they found a way around it, was to let the dreamer trust them who were telling him information. So Cobb tell him, and him say, basically, if you trust me, and by basically trusting him, the projections don't get so, antsy around them. Yeah. So Fisher believes that Cobb is here to protect him from his kidnappers. Cobb introduces his friends to Robert, and they basically gets him to turn against his projection of Peter, as his uncle, and they pretend to enter Peter's dream when really and truly they're entering Robert's dream, where Robert don't even know that them are plan for him. So the third level now is a snow fortress. And so this is where we find that Robert's mind is a fortress, basically being protected by his projections. He leads a team into the third dream level, a snow-covered fortress. And they face a strong resistance from Fisher's subconscious. I mean, like, beer things are going, gun and everything. By this point, Saito are almost ready for blackout and thing, but he's going same way, right? And of course, on each level, they would have had a little bit more time. So I believe the first level, they said it was 5 minutes on the real world. In the first level, we'll give you 30 minutes or something like that. No, a week, sorry. A week. And then the other one would be giving you about a couple months. I don't remember how much months. And then the other level, the third level now with the snow fortress is a couple of years or something like that. Yeah. So the time, because your brain moving fast at different levels. Some gobbledygook in terms of the science. I don't know if you know about the science, please comment, share about that part. Let me know if something like that makes sense, or this is just for the cinematography, the cinematic appeal. Yeah, but essentially, yeah, that's how the explanation comes up, that at that level it would be a longer time. So them basically get Robert into the fortress now, and as Robert gets into the fortress, lo and behold, who for there? Mal. Mal shows up. How she reached there, I don't know. Right? But she shows up. Mal takes out a guard, I think, and then she takes out Robert. Yeah, shoots him. Right? So of course, Robert's gone to limbo, right? So when they enter limbo now, of course, Ariane would have gotten a glimpse of Cobb's mind. She saw, some of the different things that Cobb was doing with his memories, and build dreams on memories, and imprison Mal into, at different stages in their relationship in those places. And it's almost like they can take an elevator through different levels, right? So in Limbo, basically, it's set up the same way, that them get there, wash ups on the beach, and Ariane learns about the suicide of Mal when she committed suicide, and learns about the fact that Cobb didn't let anybody know that this was the reason why. So and learn that Mal and Cobb were building a life there, basically, of everything. So in Limbo, Cobb confronts his guilt over Mal's death. So basically, because Arianda was basically like, pushing him and pressuring him into thinking about that hey, this is not your fault, because he kind of heaped it on himself, blame himself. So now come to that acceptance level that this is not his fault. And of course, that helps him to overcome Mal's death and the guilt of Mal's death, and, help him to get, Fisher out of limbo, allowing the Inception to take place. So Fisher is back in the Stone Fortress dream, and he interacts with a projection of his father, which plants the idea to dissolve the company. Right? So, looking father in the eye, father's on the deathbed, and the father show him one safe. Basically, the idea that they gave him about the safe and the will thingy. Yeah, so he's like, so you safe over there, sir, because your mind makes up the thing, and so it becomes real. So the idea is now planted that, hey, there's a will, and him father expect him to not be this man that tell him all along, right? So the team wakes up from synchronized kicks across dream levels. So what would have been happening all this time, right? So as I said, 3 levels of a dream. So at the first level, Yusef would have been left by himself. He's driving a van. I'm assuming it's been like a week or so, based on the fact that, the way how they explained it, it would have been the entire time is there driving around with everybody else asleep in the other dreams, and basically try to evade, the projections that are after them. So the idea or the plan was that at a certain point he would indicate that hint them at a kick that is coming up by playing music which is what they do on each level. So, and play music so that Arthur can hear, which because Arthur would have been in the second level at that time, making sure everybody else is there and stuff. Now, Arthur would do the same thing with Eames, because Eames would have control the third level, so play the music so him can hear, so him know say, kick is coming up. So, of course, in true raising the stakes style of movies, say the plan had to be hastened, and they didn't get enough time per se, although they did accomplish what they needed to accomplish in the end, of course, but it was like right on the line, right? Because Yusef ran out of time, of course, and found himself on a bridge, and the idea is to hit the water to do the final kick. The first kick would be the music, but they missed the music, of course, because them still in a dream and they can't come out until them accomplish their mission. Arthur missed the kick too, because at that time he would have been, struggling against the projections, and a whole heap of things happen. Yeah, and they would have missed it on the third level because them just hear the music start play, because them hear it's slower because they're so far down in the levels of the dream, right? Yeah, but I thought it was important to look at that part because not a lot of persons would realize that all of those little pieces contribute to the whole thing. It's easy to bypass these pieces, but I think it's very interesting that all of that occurred. So, of course, the team wakes up, mission accomplished, and the synchronized kicks wakes up everybody, right? Eventually. Because as I said before, Cobb and Ariande would have went to limbo. Ariande would have gone with the kick that she was supposed to, because Cobb had to stay to go and look for Saito, which is where we ended up in the first scene, basically. So we'll come back to where is on the first scene and the whole thing. So him and Saito end up being the last ones out, after the kicks have been executed on all the other levels. So they just ended up waking up on the plane itself. They didn't wake up in each dream level and then ripple right up back like everybody else. Everybody else would have gone through each level, right, from 3 to 2 to 1 and wake up back on the plane. But yeah. So of course, as Saito wake up, him honor him promise, making a call to clear Cobb's charges. Cobb returns to his children, right? And we'll get this idea of an ending when he meets or he goes back to his home and finds his children. Because all this time, every time that Cobb would dream about his children, we see the children from the back. We never see their faces. And even one at a time, there's an indication that Cobb really doesn't want to see his children's faces in his dreams. So it's almost like him tell himself, I don't want to see them face. I should never see their faces, because if I see their faces in my dream, I'll believe it's real. And so when we see the ending and we see him spin the top because he wants to make sure say, nah, dream, and totem, Mars totem actually. And then the kids turn around and he sees them and he runs to them. The top spins and it spins. It wobbles a bit, but it continues to spin, but we don't see it topple over like how it does the other times, because usually when it does spin, it spins, spin, wobble, fall over. This time, spin, spin, wobbles, continue to spin. And we don't know if actually he might be still dreaming. Yeah. So that's my analysis of Inception. I hope you know you got an understanding of how I looked at it, how I've seen it. Of course, my analysis will be based on me watching it several times because I don't get everything in one go. I didn't get all of the different elements that I highlighted in one go. I had to watch it like several times. And, each time I watch it, it gave me a little bit more of a better picture of what was going on all this time. Yeah, it's one of those films that you want to rewatch. It's one of those films that presses you to rewatch, and you rewatch with a better appreciation for it. Yeah. As usual, this is some of my theories about some unresolved mysteries and some of the plot points. How is the dream within a dream achieved with the dream device? Now, the device seems to be constructed in a particular way. I mean, for the technology of the time, 2010, that's like 14 years ago, basically. I don't think that it was anything that would look too technical, right? And that's based on how the device looks and appears in different scenes. And even in the dream world, of course, the device seems to be this kind of box with buttons, and I assume it controls the chemicals that are used in the process of getting persons to dream or getting persons to just fall asleep instantly, right? So it controls that. What I'm probably not fully understanding from what I do understand about the dream device is that how does it connect persons to other persons' dreams, right? Individuals to another's dream. Is it working through that same peripheral, basically that tubular thing that comes out that they put into the arm? Is it something that works off neurological impulses, meaning that is it meant to work that way in terms of having, based on, when persons are dreaming, and based on the science, we can see when someone is in REM state versus them in a deep sleep, right? Random eye movement for persons who don't know what REM means. But it basically, when you're in a deeper sleep, how does it regulate that, and how is that achieved? Just thinking about it, if it's just like, the neurological impulses that a person might send, and how does your mind knows or interface in that way? So it's almost like you're taking a computer, right? Two computers, both of them processing at the same time, working and doing what they need to do. And what you're doing is you're taking a VGA cable and you're plugging one laptop into another laptop. At some point, one of the machines is going to ask, or it's going to be like, all right, you're trying to plug me into another device with a monitor. Do you want to extend? Do you want to duplicate? Most persons might not know what I'm talking about, but basically it's a way to say, how does your mind knows that, all right, I should let this impulse in rather than think about it like, this is probably just an electric shock, or this is just some kind of weird thing. How does it read that? So probably I'm being a little bit too technical, but of course this is why, you have me here to kind of dissect these things, because this is gonna keep me up thinking about this because yeah, it's weird. What does a device, how does it work? you know? Yeah, beyond the things that we can see, right? And I'm sure other persons have theories about it. I've not really read any other theories about the device and how it works. This is just based on what I think and what I've seen from watching the movie several times, just kind of trying to process it, you know? Yeah, still not completely sure what it is, right? I'll give you what I think is a theory, but I could be wrong, right? Is Cobb awake or is he still dreaming? That is a banger, isn't it? Especially with the way how the ending of the movie went, right? And of course, in normal fashion, it could have been taken as a plot device used to set up another movie. But at the same time, I'm so glad that they have not released one or they have no plans of doing a sequel to Inception, which is great because what it tells me is that they want us to question could be a dream or it could not. And I think it's good to have a movie end like that because you're basically saying this can be anything, right? This can be anything, and we just not gonna tell you. Yeah. I mean, it's also good if them come with a movie that is done properly and can show us whether they want to say it was or it was not, or the whole thing from the beginning was a dream. So, or the entire movie was a dream of Cobb's, or it could have been a dream of somebody else. It could be Maul's dream. Hmm? That's something that I'm thinking. I'm playing with that idea that it could be Maul's dream, and Maul is dreaming about a world where she doesn't exist for some reason. Let's say Maul and Cobb was having a problem in the real world, and she took that into the dream, and this is how it would have manifested in her dream. And she's thinking about Cobb and how he would react in these circumstances, and his rejection obviously doesn't even realize he is a dream, right? So that would be crazy. Yeah. And as I said before, the other thing could be that it could be Cobb's dream or somebody else's, but it could be Cobb's dream, right? I'm going with either Maul or Cobb's dream from the get go, from because a lot of things hint at it as well. So the reason why I have this theory about the whole thing being a dream is that, especially with Cobb trying to escape in he's trying to when he meets up with Eames and the guys are following Cobb and he tries to escape from those guys and thing, and him going through what appears to be a between two buildings, and as he goes through the buildings, reaching almost to the end of it, the buildings kind of seem to converge on themselves. Why would buildings be designed that way where one end you can get in and then it converges almost like you can't really go through it? Yeah, that part kind of hints at this not making any sense, and this is the only way you can explain it as being a part of a dream. And I do believe it was purposefully put there. It was not a mistake. So it could be something that they dropped in as an Easter egg, right, into the movie to say, guys, think about this part.
Yeah.
And some other little things, some minor things like perhaps the way how Saito, comes up to them, and the other thing about Cobb just appearing at the university and recruiting Ariande, which is one of those things where you say, oh, how did he reach there? How did he get there? After I'm done talking, him just boom. All right, them talking about stuff, and it doesn't go boom right into a particular scene. yes, it could be just one of those movie thing where them just skip out that time, that transition thing, and say, all right, we're just gonna go there. But I'm thinking Christopher Nolan was smart. He knew what he was making. He knew how it would be interpreted. And I think this is what he was trying to do, was trying to say, hey guys, you don't even know if this is all a dream. Right. I think I flagged that horse very, very too long now. So is there a real world parallel? I keep thinking about the science and how the technically this thing would work, not just about the whole idea of the device and all of that, but if we're able to in our world now to be able to put more than one person into a dream world or be able to visualize that, right? There are some good applications I can think beyond the one that Cobb mentions about the whole military being able to stop one another. But a good one would have been to be able to design things and things that don't exist and probably can't exist. Not saying that it wouldn't be able to, or impossible, but it's just that sometimes being able to get out of the physical and be able to you do it, and that's why we have computers. We can design things digitally and see how and simulate them and see how they work. So why not use the one of the computers, the best computer we know, which is the brain, right? To do that. So you're dreaming and you can dream about, different things. You could, even movies and stories and so on, people could collaborate on it in dreams. So people can right now writers are there only because you can't really it's not like you can share your idea fully without explaining it, via writing. If you could explain it through thought in terms of dreams, that I think would be something monumental. It would be something that definitely, and I do think that you might have at least one scientist on this earth probably doing some research into dreams and sleeping and all of that to find out if that is something that is possible. And as I said, that's something that would be, good, for anybody to be able to collaborate on dreams. And you could share dreams with your family. You know how much time you wake up from your dream and be like, and this happened, and people be looking at you like, oh, but they actually can see it and they can live it with you, and you'll be like, you know, I think it would take people's relationship up to another level. Yeah, something to think about. Yeah, share your own favorite Inception moments. Whether you agree with the ones that I have highlighted, the different scenes and some other things, and some of my theories that I have expressed here, especially some of the real world applications, I believe. As I said, if there's any scientist out there that is thinking about their next research topic, please drop me a line about this thing because I would like to know if you're working on it and where you reach with it. And, yeah, it would be cool to find out if something like that is really being thought of. So, in this episode, we looked at the monumental film Inception. We looked at the plot. We looked at the themes and symbols that make up this wonderfully intense movie. We looked at the characters. We looked at the production and design. What went into giving us that feel that we have found. We looked at some of my analysis of certain scenes and interpretations, and finally my theories on some of these mysteries that I've been thinking about for quite a while since I've watched Inception, and still think about them because I don't think I have the only answers to these questions. So at this time, I'd like to encourage you to subscribe and follow the podcast for future deep dives in a world of science fiction. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the support. We're on a road to 500. Let's do it, guys. See you next time.